7 reasons your battery light is on and what to do first. That battery symbol on your dashboard does not always mean the battery itself is bad. And that is where many drivers get confused, because when the battery light comes on, the real problem is often somewhere in the charging system. Your car may still start, it may still drive, it may even feel mostly normal, but if that light stays on, something in the electrical system is no longer working the way it should. And if you ignore it too long, the car can lose power, drain the battery, and eventually stall. In this video, I'll show you 7 common reasons your battery light is on. We'll go from the most likely causes to the ones people often miss. And most importantly, I'll show you what to do first before the problem leaves you stranded. Let's go step by step. Reason number 1, bad alternator. This is one of the most common causes. The alternator is responsible for supplying electrical power while the engine is running. It also recharges the battery. So if the alternator starts failing, the battery stops getting charged properly. That is when the battery light appears. At first, the car may still run normally, but over time you may notice dim headlights, weak accessories, or even stalling while driving. This is why the battery light is often more about charging than the battery itself. If the alternator is weak, the car may keep running for a while on battery power alone, but once that battery drains, the car can shut down. Reason number 2, loose, worn, or broken drive belt. The alternator cannot charge the battery unless it is being turned properly. And on most vehicles, that job is done by the serpentine belt or alternator drive belt. If the belt is loose, slipping, or broken, the alternator may not spin fast enough to produce the voltage your car needs. That can trigger the battery light. You may also hear belt noise or notice overheating if the same belt also drives the water pump. This is one of the reasons the battery light can come on suddenly, even if the battery and alternator were fine just before. Reason number 3, corroded or loose battery terminals. Sometimes the alternator is working, the battery is okay, but the connection is poor. If the battery terminals are corroded, loose, or dirty, voltage flow becomes unstable, and when voltage becomes unstable, the charging system may not work properly. That can turn on the battery light. You may also notice slow starting, random electrical issues, or lights that flicker unexpectedly. This is one of the easier things to inspect, and it is one of the most overlooked. Reason number 4, weak or failing battery. Yes, sometimes the battery light really can point to the battery. If the battery is old, internally damaged, or no longer holding charge properly, the system may detect abnormal voltage and trigger the warning light. This is more likely if the battery is already weak, the car is harder to start, or the electrical system behaves strangely. But here is the important part. A bad battery and a bad alternator can create similar symptoms. That is why testing matters, because replacing the battery will not fix the real problem if the alternator is actually the one failing. Reason number 5, faulty wiring or bad ground connection. The charging system depends on more than just the alternator and battery. It also depends on good wiring, good grounds, and clean electrical paths. If a charging wire is damaged, a connector is loose, or a ground is weak, the system may not charge correctly, and that can bring on the battery light. This kind of issue can be frustrating to diagnose because the alternator may test fine, the battery may test fine, and the problem still exists. That is why wiring faults are often missed at first. Reason number 6, faulty voltage regulator. The voltage regulator controls how much voltage the alternator sends to the battery and electrical system. If it fails, the system may undercharge or overcharge. Either condition can turn on the battery light. If voltage is too low, the battery drains. If voltage is too high, the battery and electronics can be stressed or damaged. This is one reason why a battery light can come on even when the alternator still seems to be doing something, because the problem may not be that it is dead. The problem may be that it is charging incorrectly. Reason number 7, blown fuse or charging system electrical fault. Sometimes the issue is not a major mechanical failure at all. Sometimes it is a fuse, a relay, or another electrical interruption in the charging system. If power cannot flow correctly through the circuit, the battery light may come on, even though the battery itself is not the original problem. This is one reason why the battery light should be treated as a system warning, not just a battery warning, because the root cause can be anywhere in the charging path. Now here is something very important. What should you do first when the battery light comes on? First, do not ignore it, because if the alternator is not charging, the car may keep running only until the battery runs down, and once that happens, the engine can stall and the car may not restart. Second, turn off unnecessary electrical loads. That means things like air conditioning if possible, heated seats, extra lights, and anything else that puts more demand on the system. The goal is simple: reduce electrical load so the remaining power lasts longer. Third, if it is safe, look for obvious clues. Check whether the belt is intact. Check for loose or corroded battery terminals. Notice whether the lights are dim or whether the car feels like it is losing power. Those clues matter because they can help you decide whether the problem looks mechanical, electrical, or battery related. And finally, get the charging system tested, because guessing here often leads to replacing the wrong part. Now let's quickly recap. Your battery light may be on because of a bad alternator, a loose or broken drive belt, corroded or loose battery terminals, a weak battery, faulty wiring or ground connection, a bad voltage regulator, or a fuse or charging system electrical fault. Some of these are simple, some are hidden, and some can leave you stranded very quickly if ignored. That is why the battery light should never be treated like a small warning, because once the charging system stops keeping up, the entire car starts running on borrowed time. And now I want to hear from you. What happened first when your battery light came on? Did the lights dim? Did the car stall? Did it start hard? Or did the battery keep going dead? Comment below with the exact symptom you noticed first. And if enough people mention the same issue, I'll make the next video on that exact problem.